mang dako ng mundo, may migranteng Pilipino, nag-aalab ang puso. Wow, wow. Mabuhay ka, migranteng Pilipino, walang hindi magagawa, hangad ay pagunlad ng bansa. Mabuhay ka, migranteng Pilipino, walang hindi magagawa, magkakaisa ang migranteng Pilipino, saan mang dako ng mundo. Wow, oh.
Magandang gabi po sa lahat ng nakikinig sa atin. Dito lamang sa ating Radyo Migrante sa CHRY 105.5 FM, your leading source for diversity. Maaari nyo rin kami pakinggan sa www.chrY.fm at iklik lamang ang Listen Live, Bell 5973, Rogers Digital Cable 945 o sa tunein.com sa inyong mga web browsers or sa inyong mga smartphones. Ang inyo pong makakasama ngayong gabi ay inyong mga tagapaglingkod na si Rhea Gamana at Ish Cabanya. Magandang gabi, Ish.
Magandang gabi, Rhea.
Ano ba? Bumati ka.
Yeah, magandang gabi po sa mga nakikinig sa atin dito sa Canada, sa Pilipinas at saan man kayo sa buong mundo. At shoutouts rin sa mga co-host natin dito sa Radyo Migrante Collective, kina Kuya Louie, Tita Pet, Tita Perry,
Si
Ate Mary,
Jason, si Chupaeng, yes,
Yeah.
magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. So, ngayong gabi, ang pag-uusapan natin sa Radyo Migrante ay ang boses, no? Boses ng mga kabataan kung saan minsan ay hindi napapakinggan ng karamihan, no? Karamihan ng madla, no? Ang boses, ang mga issue o mga pahayag ng mga kabataan. Kaya narito po ngayong gabi, makakasama po natin ang taga Kapisanan Center for... Teka, nasan ba yun? Kapisanan Philippine Centre for Arts and Culture. Kasama po natin ngayong gabi ay si Tim Manalo, Marbella Carlos at si Nicole Cajucom. Magandang gabi sa inyong tatlo at bumati naman kayo sa mga tagapakinig.
Hi. Hello. Thank you for having us.
Hi. Magandang gabi. Restrained.
Hi.
Okay. So, ngayon sa Radyo Migrante ay i-address natin yung mga issue, no, na kinakaharap ng mga newcomers dito sa Canada. Kasi nga, ako din dati rin akong newcomer at naranasan ko rin yung hirap, no, ng pag-a-adjust dito sa Canada. Kaya mamaya i-address natin yung kasama ng ating mga kaibigan sa Kapisanan Center. Pero bago lahat, Ish, may pahabol ka bago sa news?
Mamaya na. For shoutouts and comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, ano nga ba itong Kapisanan? So, ang Kapisanan po, Kapisanan Philippine Centre for Art and Culture, it's a multiple award-winning charitable community organization based in Toronto. Recreate a safe space for Filipino-Canadian youth, both second generation and newcomers, to overcome multiple barriers that prevent them from meaningful engagement in society. And at Kapisanan, youth activate their creativity to explore identity, fostering pride and self-confidence, inspiring and empowering them to realize their full potential. Kaya mamaya po, after po ng first half natin, pag-uusapan natin ano nga ba ang Kapisanan at ano itong bagong programa, no, ng Kapisanan maya-maya po lang. Pero bago ang lahat ay news and headlines mo tayo. Pangunahan mo na, Ish.
Alright, for our first news, usapang pangkapayapaan ng GPH at MILF nanganganib dahil sa engkwentro sa Mamasapano, Maguindanao. This is from PinoyWeekly.org. Ikinababahala ng mga grupong pangkarapatang pantao ang posibleng muling pagsiklab nagdigbaan sa Mindanao matapos ito ng engkwentro ng Special Action Forces or SAF ng Philippine National Police or PNP at Moro Islamic Liberation Front or MILF at Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Force or BIFF sa Mamasapano, Maguindanao noong Enero 25, 2015. Pinangangabahan ng Suwara Bangsamoro na maaaring sumiklab ang digmaan kung maghihiganti ang kapulisan at aayudahan ng militar dahil sa pagkamatay ng di bababa sa 43 na pulis at pagkasugat ng 12 na iba pa. Sinabi ng naturang grupo na malaki ang magiging epekto ng insidente sa kasalukuyang negosasyon ng gobyerno at MILF. Nananawagan din ang Suara Bangsamoro na imbestigahan ang di umano'y bigong anti-terror operations ng PNP-SAF na nauwi sa isang enkwentro. Ayon kay Jerome Aladin Sucor Aba, tagapagsalita ng Suara Bangsamoro, kailangang ipaliwanag ng PNP-SAF kung paano na uwi sa isang paglusob at raid ang paghain nila ng warrant of arrest at sa miyembro ng Jamaah Islamiyah na si Basit Usman at Sulkigli Binhir alias Marwan. Kilala na area ng MILF ang Barangay Enog-Og.
Okay, ang pangalawang balita natin ay mula sa hkpinoytv.com. 91 OFW organizations unite in protest against airport terminal fee. In their continuing protest against the integration of terminal fee to airplane ticket cost, OFWs in Hong Kong held a picket on February 1st, which is today, 2015, in Admiralty, near the office of the Philippine Consulate General in Hong Kong. 91 migrant organizations signed the unity statement against the Philippine government exactions, including the scrapping of the terminal fee and the abolition of the Overseas Employment Certificate or OEC.
At sa susunod na balita, 39 OFWs in Saudi complain abuse, seek repatriation. This is from bulatlat.com. Pope Francis may have thrilled the country during his visit, but his reminder to recognize migrant workers and heed their needs is yet to have its effect on government officials and recruitment agencies. Government has yet to act on request for repatriation by a group of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia who had complained of labor abuse by the Raja Al-Mari and Son Company or RHM. Roy Pagelion, 39, worked as a welder for the company in the RHM Abkai camp. He was among the 39 workers who filed charges against the RHM and requested for repatriation. In a Skype interview with Bulatlat, Pagelion shared various labor malpractices that he and his fellow workers experienced in the hands of RHM. Pagalion said that he started working in June 2014, but he was not given any salary for 6 months. It was only on in December 25 that I got my first salary, Pagalion shared. It's hard because our families depend on us, but we can't send them a cent because we're not getting paid, he lamented. Pagalion also shared that most of them work without IQAMA or resident permit, which also serves as working visa. And he said this puts the workers' safety and security at risk. And all those are our news for tonight, February 1st, 2015. All right, we have an interesting topic for tonight. Ano nga ba yung title ng ano? Hear the voices of the youth. Of course. Yes, because we have in the studio live 3 of representatives of Kapisanan Centre, or that's a short form, right? Because the long form is Kapisanan Philippine Centre for Arts and Culture. Is that correct?
Yeah, very.
We have in the studio live Tim, Marbella, and Nicole. Introduce yourselves, please.
Hi.
Restrained pa rin.
Hi, this is Marbella.
Hi, this is Tim.
And my name is Nicole Cajucom. I'm the programs director at Kapisanan.
Yes.
I guess
We'll introduce what we do at Kapisanan.
Yes.
So my name is Marbella, and I'm the coordinator of the program called Clutch.
I'm the coordinator for the program called NAV.
Mm-hmm. So briefly, you've mentioned about NAV, but briefly, Kapisanan Philippine Centre for Arts and Culture is a multiple award-winning charitable community organization based here in Toronto, but their reach is actually all across Canada because they've gone mainstream. They have a lot of activities that have been influential for the past 10 years for the Filipino community and Canadian community in general. But Tim, you mentioned about NAV, right? I guess we'll start off from there. We'll jump off to the conversation. What is NAV all about, and what is the other program called Clutch as well?
So NAV is short for navigation. It's an arts-based program, arts immersion, where it's catered to male Filipino youth youth or male-identified Filipino youth between the ages of 17 and 24. And it's a program that spans 5 months. They're made up of a series of workshops that cater to the interests of its participants within the realm of art, and it'll end off with an exhibition. So that's NAV, and it also has it actually launched last year, the first volume. This is the second volume that's going to launch this year. It's the partner program to Clutch, which has been going on for a lot longer. And I guess Marbella will describe Clutch for us.
Yes, please.
Sure, I would love to. So, like Tim said, Clutch is basically essentially the sister program to NAV.
Yeah.
This is the 7th edition, and I'm really excited to be coordinating it. Just like NAV, it's a 5-month-long program that involves mentorship, dialogue, community. It gives young Filipino-identified women the opportunity to work with other people within the age group of 17 to 24, to link with practicing artists, artisans, arts and media professionals, to get mentorship in their field, and then also to have access to space, workshops, equipment, and to have a safe space and a platform where they can create and explore art and identity.
So briefly, ano pa kakaiba nung Clutch at saka yung navigation?
So, well, the difference one is that it's NAV is for young Filipino males and Clutch is for women. The history, I guess, of Clutch was that it was started to provide a space for young Filipinas to explore identity, to create art, to explore identity through art, and so Clutch has been going on for the past 7 years, and now we have a male youth one that provides a space for male-identified youth to similarly explore identity as young Filipinos and create art. Yeah.
Why is there a particular thrust right now to focus on young male Filipinos as well?
I guess Nicole.
Okay, well, I don't think, for as long as Clutch has existed, there has always been a demand for a version of the program for boys. It was just a matter of finding funding for it. So we were able to secure the funding last year, and yeah, the Filipino boys need this program just as much as the young women.
So nabanggit yung needs, no, yung pangangailangan. So mapunta tayo dun sa mga issue, yung mga concerns ng mga bagong dating, no, mga newcomer youths. Sa Kapisanan, ano yung nakita ninyo? Ano yung nakita ninyong mga issue na kinakaharap ng mga baguhan, ng mga newcomers na mga kabataan based sa inyong involvement, no, sa community work? Ano yung mga nakita ninyo? At saka siguro din nakita nyo siya, ano yung reaction nyo? Yung first reaction nyo, narinig nyo siya, nakita nyo, naramdaman nyo. Siguro kahit sino sa inyo gustong mauna. So what, you wanna go ahead, Nicole?
Well, for Clutch, historically it's been really, really great at attracting second generation Filipinas, and it wasn't until I think there's been a lot of study done on newcomers, but also from first-hand experience, Kapisanan has been going into school, so we're encountering these newcomers and seeing a lot of the issues that they've been experiencing, like family reunification. I think is a really, really big one, and yeah, I know Tim has done a lot of work with our school programming as well, and
reunification being a big thing, and also sort of I mean, like Kapisanan, it's a center for Filipino youth, catered specifically to Filipino youth, to come and as the safe space for them to sort of create art. But it's just so much more than that. Interact with other Filipinos here as well, and we found that when we would do like what Nicole is describing is our K-Mobile program, where we do outreach to high school students who or classes in high school, and we would do arts-based workshops like writing poetry, creating visual arts, etc. We found that they're not as engaged with community organizations like ours, and some of the recent studies have shown that there aren't a lot of newcomers who are pursuing higher education and even pursuing or even sort of sorting out like their own career goals or making some for themselves. So that was definitely a concern for us when we were going to these schools, and these schools that we would go to were heavily populated with Filipinos, and not just Filipinos but newcomers. So that was something that was realized with the organization to act on it, to do something about it, and to engage with them more, and you know, to get them more involved with community work, and to see value in community.
So in particular, K-Mobile is an outreach arm to promote Clutch and Nav, or not necessarily?
Just Kapisanan in general, just as this organization that they can come to. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
May dagdag pa kayo? You good? Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so ano din, yung relation, hindi naman relationship, pero yung how do we relate doon sa mga issues ng mga newcomers, kasi alam natin na iba-iba yung experiences ng first generation, 1.5, second generation, pero with yun, babalik ako doon sa tanong na with your community involvement, kasi nagbago yung mission, no, ng Kapisanan na this will be more welcoming sa mga newcomers.
Yeah.
Paano kayo nakarelate sa mga issue ng mga newcomers? Ano yung nakita nyo na ito pala ay parang it hit you, no?
Yeah.
Parang ganun. So paano?
Maybe.
Okay.
Well, I mean, for me personally, I find it challenging to relate to newcomers because I'm not a newcomer. I was born and raised here, and I also have to be conscious of the fact that as someone who was born and raised here, I do have certain privileges. But you know, my parents are immigrants, and I have friends and colleagues that are also newcomers. But I will never be able to fully comprehend their experiences, but I can try to understand them. And I think the beautiful thing about Kapisanan is that we are trying to bridge that gap and create connections through the issues that are common and shared. And one that strikes a chord with me is that we all feel dislocated, and we're all just trying to find a place to belong.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think like sort of to piggyback off of what Nicole is saying is like sort of trying to navigate your identity as a racialized person or as like an immigrant person here in Canada is complicated. It's super complicated, especially when you feel you have one foot in one culture and another foot in the other culture. And I feel like that's a way that we do, and we don't relate to newcomer Filipinos, because it's like they are definitely coming from one culture, and that's what their cultural identity is, and then they're thrust into this experience of like, oh my gosh, like now I live in a whole new space where everybody is different. And so it's like I think what I can say about everybody involved in Kapisanan is that we're all here to explore our cultural identity and what that means to us, and like to find a way in our own terms to express that through art and through expressing ourselves and exploring.
Well, like for me, I again, I mean, as well as Nicole, I was born and raised here, but when I found a community organization like Kapisanan, I felt a better sense of belonging, and I think that's definitely something that we share with newcomers, with migrants, to find that community, and that's really like what's very valuable about community, and relating with other people and knowing how you can identify, and so before I didn't have any sense of being Filipino, or what that meant, or what that looked, or how to come to terms to that. But meeting others who share the same cultural values as I was raised with, and also similar experiences, I understand, and I understand what it's like for first generation Filipinos to not to just try to belong. I mean, I like what I'm trying to say though is that to have a space where I could kind of see what my potential could be, and so yeah.
Yeah. And before we go on air earlier, we were talking already about the topic, and I think Nicole was the one who mentioned that it was the first step when you got in Kapisanan that you found that value, that belongingness, and that's very important for us to do. And then when we try to do outreach in the community, that's the thing that is we try to convince people to take that first step, right? What was the first reaction of people when you did the outreach in high schools? Maybe Nicole could start off.
I mean, it's really mixed. I know earlier in my career at Kapisanan, it was really tough to communicate with newcomers, especially because I can't speak the language. I can't speak Tagalog. I do understand it. So, I mean, I remember going to a high school and having a settlement worker introduce me to newcomer students, and a young boy, in Tagalog says, "Oh, parang puti." Right, because I was speaking in English. So, I mean, that was very challenging for me, and I've been trying to learn how can I better engage and I guess and just communicate with newcomers. More recently, we've been at another high school, and we've been working very closely with the Filipino club, and the majority of them are newcomers, and it was such a different experience. They are just so receptive. So I mean, maybe with that particular group, they just had a really great staff sponsor, but like it was just such a good energy coming from them. But no, I think I don't know, it depends. It depends.
Maybe Marbella as well, you could share, how do you decide to take that first step to be part of Kapisanan?
Oh, to share a personal story,
Yeah.
my personal story of how I decided. We were kind of talking about this outside earlier, and I was sharing because I grew up in Calgary, Alberta, in a pretty homogenous neighborhood where it was basically just my sister and I who were the only visible minorities. And growing up, we very much felt a sense of isolation, or that Filipino culture or Filipino-ness existed basically only within the confines of our home. And I remember seeing Casey Messiha, who's the front woman of a band called Obiju, who is also deeply involved with Kapisanan, and seeing her live and performing, and seeing my culture reflected in this like powerful and beautiful and talented front woman, seeing myself reflected in that for the first time, and just being in awe of the talent and this person's message, and lurking her on the internet and learning that she was involved with Kapisanan as a mentor, and then the opportunity to move to Toronto to go to Teachers College came up a couple years ago, and I went to Cultura Festival, which I don't know if any of you know, but it's a festival that happens annually. Every summer that Kapisanan puts on, and it's amazing. And I went with my partner, and for the first time I saw people just like me, like other Filipinos who were artists and artisans and performers, and people like all of these young, like really cool people who were doing really amazing things in the community. And I just felt a sense sort of belonging for the first time, right? Like in seeing Casey and in seeing these people and seeing everybody actively in the community, like working together through this center, through Kapisanan, I felt, like I mentioned earlier, a sense of relevance, feeling like that I had a place, that my culture doesn't have to exist separately, like inside my home and only in my home, that it can exist within me, like wherever I happen to occupy.
Ikaw, Tim, may gusto kang i-share?
Maybe the next question. Yes.
Sige, may tanong ka, Ish? O sige, ako. Okay, so nabanggit mo yung community organizing, no? So sa Kapisanan, ano yung ginagawa ninyo para mag-reach out sa mga newcomers? Yung anong klaseng community involvement, kumbaga, paano kayo nag-a-approach doon sa mga newcomers sa outside the Kapisanan office, 'di ba? Malabas kayo. So anong ginagawa niyo outside?
Well, the best way that we've been doing it that we found is through the schools, going there because that's where they are, right? They seem to always have this reluctance to take that first step, to go and reach out to community organizations, centers, whatever. And so when we do our K-Mobile and our outreach or that program and conduct these workshops, that's where we find them, and that's when we are able to spread the word, to talk about what we do, and that there is a space, there is a place for them to go to. Doesn't just have to be the mall when they finish school, right? Or even just extracurricular activities. They aren't limited to just schools. That we have programs like Clutch and Nav that they can participate in and do things that will give them that space again of exploring what their interests are. And there aren't a lot of programs out there that's so welcoming to newcomers that are Filipino focused, that will give them that. So that's why we're trying to reach out to them, and we find them all in schools, and we're telling them, come here.
Well, no, it's interesting because you're saying that we find them, but it's actually the teachers, it's the schools that are reaching out, and they're calling us because they also identify that there is a huge need and a gap of services. So so we're just trying to address that and
they would
help answer.
They would say to us, they're like, we have literally 98% Filipinos in this school. And then when we would go to the schools, it's literally 98%. So many Filipinos. There are schools where there are just so many. And they're newcomers, right? And I can only imagine how hard it must be from my experience as well, how my parents had to learn and understand the education system and how it would be for us growing up in terms of setting those goals for ourselves, right? So
nabanggit mo yung hirap, no? So mapupunta tayo sa tanong ko kanina nung pinag-usapan natin na may stigma kasi yung buong Pilipino, talaga ng Pilipino ay may stigma na nakakahiya, quote and quote, nakakahiyang lumapit sa mga community centers kasi ayaw nating maawa, no, sa sarili natin, kasi based on my personal experience, ganun yung naging pananaw ko. Kasi babalik tayo sa sa example Pilipinas, kasi yung gobyerno kasi ng Pilipinas, hindi kasi sila naglalaan ng pondo para magtayo ng mga community centers upang magbigay ng mga serbisyong mahalaga, mga basic services. For example, paghahanap ng trabaho, yung healthcare, at yung mga arts and culture services na kaya sanang ibigay ng gobyerno through community centers. Kaya lang kasi napupunta yung mga pera sa mga bulsa ng politiko na hindi naman sana. So now, nung dumating ako dito at saka kailangan ko maghanap ng trabaho, the only time na gumamit ako ng community center, ayun lang, paghahanap ng trabaho. Hindi ko inisip na kailangan kong isipin yung health ko, yung emotional needs ko, yung support. Hindi ko naisip yung kasi walang ganong inkling sa atin, which hindi naman natin kasalanan. So paano sa inyo sa Kapisanan, it is a community center, paano nyo nabibreak yung ganong stigma na ang Kapisanan ay welcome para sa lahat, na huwag kayong mahiya na lumapit kasi hindi kayo i-ostracize. For one, kasi in my opinion kasi, kapag ako kasi nung newcomer ako, hirap ako magsalita ng English. Kailangang iproseso ko sa utak ko bago ko sabihin, kasi ayokong laitin ako ng ibang tao na mali pagkakasabi mo ng salita, mali ang grammar mo. So, kaya hindi ako talaga lumalapit sa mga community centers kasi ayoko yung ganung confrontation. So sa inyo, how do you break that stigma?
That's the really unfortunate part about approaching Filipino youth that are newcomers. That we have noticed that they don't always show so much interest when we promote our community center. And it was actually from you that I just learned that it all made sense, that there is that stigma. And it's even harder at the fact that like we're an art center too, that that it's not, I think that there's that stigma of like art not being like this profitable, accessible career. And it's not, and that's not really what we're trying to do. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to say, oh, join the arts, pursue the arts, because like you'll make money off of it, right? Like
the arts is the vehicle.
Arts is the vehicle, and it's a way for self-exploration, for like doing many things that will give you the space of finding your interest, finding that identity. As broad as that is to say, what I mean is really just finding exercising, at what you're interested in, that you wouldn't really be able to realize in other programs in schools or whatever.
I think that the fact that we are an art center is a barrier, because we have seen youth resist to art, and I think that there's this preconceived notion that that art belongs to a particular group of people, or that it's frivolous. But art is really for everyone, and like we've seen over and over again that the arts, art is such an effective tool for bringing out rich stories that need to be shared, and it becomes a medium to talk about things that are not easy to talk about, and youth are just yearning to express.
But also I wanted to add that don't doubt what art can do for you, in like it can be profitable, like like I think because I came from an art school, and I know from first-hand experience of my peers and other graduates from that background in their education, that you can turn it into a business. You can be entrepreneurial, that you can have these creative skills that are so valuable to the job market. So you could turn it into that as well. So it's not just like you're making art and whatever. You can really turn it into a career, like graphic designers, for example. They're very entrepreneurial.
Having said that, art is the vehicle. We'll go to our mini segment here, rapid fire. So I'll mention some keywords, and then you can say anything how you relate to these issues, basically. All right, ready now?
Okay.
Yes.
We're ready.
Okay, I'll jumble the words so you don't know which ones are going next. Sorry, guys. Ethnic identity or decolonization.
Okay, so just like how we relate to these words, or what just like first thing that comes to mind?
How do you relate to these words? Basically, how you use art as a vehicle to relate to these issues.
Okay.
I thought you were going to answer now.
No, I was just clarifying for the whole group. Okay, ethnic identity and decolonization.
Yes. A gasp of air.
Maybe I can talk about my upbringing. For me, I grew up in a very Eurocentric neighborhood, and I was very removed from my Filipino from Filipino culture, and I was also very resistant to it as well. And it wasn't until I joined Kapisanan as an intern that I realized that it was internalized racism. It was wanting to be colonized, feeling proud when I was being called like whitewashed, right? And I feel like that's a really common feeling that a lot of second generation Filipinos.
Shame.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the shame. It's the cultural shame,
Yeah.
and like and for me, like there's still a lot of unlearning for myself as well.
Yeah, guys, this segment is called Rapid Fire. Sorry to say, we're running out of time.
Okay.
We're just going succinct here.
Okay.
Sorry.
Next one? Oh,
Yeah,
no.
multiculturalism. Yeah, just make it fast.
Toronto.
Yes. Family separation and family reunification.
Oh, newcomers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Social media.
New platform for expressing yourself, for having a wider audience than we've ever had before.
Oh,
And Kapisanan is also found in Instagram.
Instagram,
Instagram,
Facebook, Twitter.
Just go on our website and you'll see them.
Yeah.
Rapid fire. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Good. Community role models.
Mentors.
So many, but
wonderful
yeah,
artist
so
mentors.
many.
But,
I find, well, like for me growing up, there weren't a lot, and this is one of the
Exactly,
reasons
yeah.
why I'm involved
Yeah.
with Kapisanan. Like, and even like coordinating programs like NAV, where my hope is to create leaders, and yeah,
Mentees becoming mentors.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
exactly.
true.
Exactly.
Community activism.
Heavy.
Yeah. All right. So I guess that will wrap up our rapid fire.
Siguro kasi malapit na tayong matapos
Yes.
ating feature interview. Siguro in 30 seconds, what is your final message just before we end this interview?
Specifically, what is the role of the Filipino youth in the diaspora, and how do you connect these issues that are mentioned back to the Philippines, back to our roots, especially for newcomers?
Okay, whoever wants to say
Okay,
something.
I think as youth that there's a strong misconception that we don't have power because our elders consider us as inferior or incapable, and that has such a huge effect on our confidence and our ambitions. But there's so much that we can do collectively to make an impact within our community, and we have so much power. So I think it's our responsibility to support each other.
I have
Okay,
one.
sige,
Take
go.
advantage of all your opportunities. That's why.
Marbella?
Join Clutch and Nav. We're here. Come see us. Visit us.
Okay. Ayun na. So maraming salamat Nicole Cajucom, Tim Manalo, and Marbella Carlos.
Thank you for having
you.
us.
You're very, very welcome. Habang pong kinakontak natin si Elena Sebastian ng Migrante Youth Alberta, ay magpapatugtog po tayo ng isang awitin. Ito po ay nagmula sa Southeast Cartel, Pilipinas.
Check it out. Southeast Cartel in the building. You already know. Representing Pilipinas. Itaas ang bandila ng Pilipinas. Ipaglaban ang kultura ng Pilipinas. Dugot pawis ang inalay sa Pilipinas. Taas kamay kung ika'y taga Pilipinas. Itaas ang bandila ng Pilipinas. Ipaglaban ang kultura ng Pilipinas. Dugot pawis ang inalay sa Pilipinas. Taas kamay kung ika'y taga Pilipinas. Ito ang panahon ng makabagong Pinoy. Tinig nag-alab, lumiya, boses namin nag-apoy. Salita at paksa na pinasa ay aming tinuloy. Walang gobyerno at pinuno na sa aming tatapoy. Ha! Kayong Pinoy ay iniimbitahan sa aming samahan. Layunin ng taming kilusan. Para ito sa pula, puti, bughaw at ilaw. Ako ay Noy, pisa, isip, salita, galaw. Pilipinas! Itaas ang bandila ng Pilipinas. Ipaglaban ang kultura ng Pilipinas. Dugot pawis ang inalay sa Pilipinas. Taas kamay kung ika'y taga Pilipinas. Itaas ang bandila ng Pilipinas. Ipaglaban ang kultura ng Pilipinas. Dugot pawis ang inalay sa Pilipinas. Taas kamay kung ika'y taga Pilipinas. Sadyang hinirang, dating hinilang pababa. Ika'y sinilang, ngayon kabilang pagbaba. Go kahit malabo, wag mong itago. Ang kailangan wag ka ba.
At yun po ay ang Southeast Cartel na nakabase po sa Toronto. Okay. Perfect. Yun po ay ang Pilipinas. Kaya po, live via phone, kaya po na pinangakong namin ay makakausap natin si Elena Sebastian ng Migrante Youth Alberta. Hello, Elena.
Hello, Ate Rhea.
Hello. Kumusta?
Magandang gabi rin, Ish.
Hello.
Narinig mo kami?
Yes, narinig ko kayo.
Perfect. Okay. So, maraming salamat no sa pagpapa-unlock sa amin dito sa Radyo Migrante. At siguro simulan, ha?
It's a pleasure to be here.
Sweet. Thanks.
Hi, Elena.
Hi.
Ay, oo. May kasama kami dito, Elena, sina Nicole, si Tim, at si Marbella.
Hi, Elena.
Hi.
Okay.
O sige, simulan natin ang ating puso na migrante. So siguro briefly, Elena, ano ba ang migrante youth?
Migrante youth. So, actually, ang migrante youth dito sa Alberta, ano sa lahat, ito yung youth wing sa Migrante Alberta, which is composed nowadays by Red Deer, Calgary, saka dito sa Edmonton. So, sa ngayon, nagsisimula ang Migrante Alberta Youth sa Edmonton. Migrante Alberta Youth also advocates for Filipino migrant rights and welfare. And we also promote Filipino identity, history, and culture. So, maganda yung usapan kanina with Kapisanan. Just to have a brief background how Migrante Alberta Youth started. Uma-attend kasi ako na mga poetry nights, arts gatherings, ganyan, etc. So, we know na ang mga Filipino youth, we actively participate with any art form, whether it's newcomers or second gen, yung mga dito na pinanganak. So yeah, Migrante Alberta Youth is will be composed of first generation youth and second generation.
But you yourself as a newcomer, di ba? How was your personal experience in engaging Filipino community there in Alberta, particularly in your city?
In Edmonton. Okay. Siguro from being culture shock, kung ayun yung proper term doon. It's really hard to adjust kasi magdadalawang taon pa lang ako dito. First of all, it's the language barrier. Kasi lalo na I came from Laguna, so I have so many dialects. Yung talagang pag-adjust when it comes to the services na you don't know where to go. Diba? Na parang, so if I have this certain problem like job, where's the job bank that can help me? Or if I want to avail these services, where should I go? So it's really beneficial for me to be a member of Migrante Alberta. No? Kasi they were the ones who's referring the right office. So yeah, simula dun sa language barrier hanggang dun sa pag-adjust to transportation means pa yan. Or if I want to upgrade my classes kasi di ba from hindi naman ina-accept dito yung what we had or educational background that we have in the Philippines. So yeah, yung proper choices ng school, it's hard kasi parang you have some suggestions here and there and you don't know what to consider.
So, sa pag-o-organize ninyo sa Migrante Youth Alberta, ano-ano yung mga issue na karaniwan ninyong nahaharap no sa mga kabataan na nakatira diyan sa Alberta?
Actually kasi nag-start pa lang kami to outreach, no? Karamihan kasi dito sa Edmonton mga second generation. So mas identity yung yung hinahanap nila na which is good for me because I can share a lot of stuff for your dad. Pero what's pretty much important is yung high school na mas magandang mas makausap kung ano rin ba yung issues na kinakaharap nila when it comes to transition. Kasi ayun nga, just what we mentioned earlier, yung family reunification, it's really important to look at. Kasi di ba, yung long separation, it comes to, they may join other clubs or groups, or for some pa nga, di ba, gangs yung sinasamahan. Pero, ayun, mas more on dun sa identity, yung mas kailangang tutukan. And also, yung dito kasi, karamihan ng dumadating ay mga anak ng temporary foreign workers and live-in caregivers. So, mas marami sa kanila nagtatrabaho. Actually, I'm a good example. Pagdating ko dito, trabaho agad. Kasi, first of all, yung survival ng family, to settle down and to have those transitions to be fixed, whether going to school or,
Elena, we have our guest here as well. Maybe we can open up the conversation with, particularly with Marbella, who's from Alberta. Do you have any particular questions with Elena?
Yeah, definitely. I know I'm not from Edmonton. I'm from the rival city of Calgary. And sorry, I'm hearing Elena on the other side. But I'm wondering, do you find it difficult to find people who are interested to band together with you, or do you feel feelings? I know even someone who's involved with Kapisanan named Jody, who's from Edmonton also, when he grew up there, found that it was really difficult to find a sense of community. And do you think that that there is a way for you guys to mobilize together to find a community with a mix of newcomers and second generation Filipinos? Have you been finding that it has been difficult, or has it been sort of something people have been yearning for, and so it's been coming together easily?
Actually, because it's really hard to outreach. We already have 2 workshops already, and it turns out that it's not becoming a huge number of participants. So the first workshop that we had was about identity, culture, and history of the Philippines. But apparently, yung turnout ng participants talagang kaunti. Limit. It's a matter of, we don't know if it was not the right topic to offer for the youth, that's not attracting them, or was it also the factor of where to outreach, And the last workshop that we had was about Bonifacio. Tapos maganda yung turnout nung participants. So it's really a matter of how where to outreach, if it's university-based or community-based outreach. But yeah, targeting the participants is really important to look at.
Elena, pasensya ka na, pero 1 minuto na lang tayo. May isa pang pahabol si Ish, tapos final message tayo. Sorry.
Yeah, just quickly, what do we look for? What can we look forward with in terms of organizing, particularly in Alberta and across Canada, for migrante youth?
I think it's very much important to be creative in the ways how we organize the youth, because the youth is a very diverse group of people, and it's really pretty much important to look what's their interest and how it will be beneficial for the target organize or yung organisahin natin, so whether it's art natin sila kukunin or i-organize and i-educate, or it's about history, maganda na talagang titignan natin kung saan sila mas makakapture, so that in a way they will be educated, and in a way they will do something about what what they wanted to do in terms of
Elena, pasensya ka na pero kailangan na nating putulin ito. Pero maraming salamat. I'm sure may mga panahon pa talaga na makakapag-usap tayo dito sa Radyo Migrante. Maraming salamat sa mabuhay ka.
Salamat.
Thank you.
Bye.
Alright, so that
Ayun.
wraps up our episode for tonight.
Yes, at saka yung mga announcement ay ilalagay na lang natin mamaya sa Radyo Migrante Facebook page. So muli, maraming salamat Nicole, Cajucom, Team Manalo, and Marbella, Carlos, and of course Ish.
Yes.
Thank you very much. At may huli kang pabate?
Shoutouts lang, hindi na nabanggit kanina si Kuya Alex. Who's preparing for his interview tonight. Yeah.
Right. So,
Good luck, Alex.
Okay, maraming salamat po. Up next is Roy Green of Odyssey. Kaya ang huling awitin po natin ay ang Migranteng Pilipino. Kaya maraming salamat po at magandang gabi po sa ating lahat.